Hi, this is Kelly Borsheim again. I'm working on, really need to finish this guy. This is a portrait bust. I'm working in Plastilina, but it's going to be bronze when I'm finished. And it's a little bit larger than life, as you can tell. So the finishing touches for me take me a long time. I get really particular down into details. But right now, I'm still trying to do the overall form of the body because the client asked me to change the body and make it arms as if he's standing in water and you're just seeing the part emerging out of the top. And it's too close to the fire. I feel my clay kind of melting here. So the thing is, I got the basic shape done, but now I'm looking at it and I'm refining because even though he's wearing a shirt, the fabric is going to cover a lot of the anatomy, but you're still going to see the influence of skeleton and muscle. So right now I'm working on to get a feel the shoulder here and the deltoid and stuff here. So on the back, if you look at the profile of the person here, this is the back of the trapezius muscle, the kite-shaped muscle that does like this. So when you see the profile of a person, you're actually seeing this back section. If you cut the figure in half, it's going to be higher in the back. Then you have the clavicle, which is going to start from the collarbone here, and it's going to kind of do this little S curve to meet up with the other bones here of the scapula, of the shoulder blade, to come back here to make the shoulder joint, okay? So what you have is a bone that's low here, it's curving to go to meet up with this other higher point, and then you have the muscle of the trapezius coming down here. So here, you kind of, if you feel your own body, it kind of is a slope in, but it's not really. It's just that there's nothing pushing it out per se. So I want to make sure that I have this and then have a nice gradual slope, but not too roundy round. So here I can feel I've got a little bit too much going on. And excuse me for that. So I can see it's a little bit round here, but also I do a lot by touch at this point. Now, there's a bone right here, so I definitely don't want to take off here, but I want to transition that this is the highest point. So if I see anything that does a little up and it's too far forward, I need to take that down, okay? The other thing is I want to have a little bit of rock and roll here between the deltoid comes back out again, and of course you have the shoulder, anyway. You have the bone coming here with these three bones meeting up and creating the shoulder joint, but then of course you've got the deltoid muscle on top of that doing its thing. But again, he's under a shirt, so I'm going to minimize this a lot, but I still need to get, and even the shirt's going to bend like this, so it's a little bit round, so I don't need to get too exaggerated. I'm more interested in nice gradual changes that still imply the tone. And let me go now, and I'm going to take the camera off the tripod, and I want to show you the bird's eye view because that's my favorite, and obviously I'm not going to tilt him this way and risk losing him just to show you the bird's eye view. So let me go ahead and take this off of there, shut the video off for a sec, and I'll go show you that because that's what I'm working on right now. So I know also how my process works. Now that I have the body sort of completed, because I tend to want to work the whole thing and develop the whole thing, I've left this for a long time because I need time to focus on really getting the likeness of him, and I just thought, just leave it there so I know I haven't addressed it. I still have to cut a little bit more off his ear. You can see I've got not quite level there, but we're not level, but I need to have it closer than not. So anyway, I know that my process is everybody's going to be different, but right now I think if I can finish this, stop thinking about it, I can focus more on the face. I want to put a little bit of a smile here, a hint of a smile, but his lips, I moved my my model there, the photographs I was using because I had house guests for dinner, and this is my kitchen. Nobody uses a kitchen as a sculptor studio and still expects to have space to cook and actually eat with people. So anyway, I had to clean up some of that, but he'll be back in a little bit now that I don't have the house guest anymore. So anyhow, I want to finish all of this part so then I can really focus on all the details of the curves in the eye and all of these things that I want to make sure I have the curve, I have the form, I have the shapes, but I don't have exaggeration too much. and then I'll finish, you know, the texture in the hair and things like that. But anyway, so let me quit this and put the video on the bird's eye view, and then we'll get back to what I'm working on here. Stay tuned. Okay, so this is the bird's eye view. I use the bird's eye view a lot because I want to check my form, especially in a pose that's going to be symmetrical like this. Now do realize that there's a lot of distortion in this because I'm standing probably at the level of his hair right here. Anyway, there's a lot of distortion here, a little fisheye thing going on, but I can't help that because I can't get far enough away to zoom in to make it less of a distortion. However, I just want you to notice the idea of what I'm talking about, not the literal thing. So I'm going to move back and forth like this with my eyes, and right now I'm looking at this arm, the curve of the arm. I want it to go in a little bit here to show that the body is pulling back because the body is an elliptical form. You can see right now I do have an elliptical shape of the torso. Do you see that? Even though the head's blocking a lot. Thank goodness though. Okay, so I want the arm. I want this to be more simple. In fact, even the client told me I could get looser as I go away from the face, so he understands that sort of impressionist painting sort of idea. But I need to have the arm feel round, even if you come here to the bird's eye. Do you see it's coming to a point? So I can totally see the elliptical shape. But then the elliptical shape gets broken up by the deltoid here. I want to come in, and then I have the pec muscles coming out. So you've got the clavicle. What are those called? The doorknob catcher is my hip. So anyway, I don't know why I'm spacing on words, but I have the two bones here that lead up into the thigh, the sternum. You know, it does that shape. That's why fashion is doing that. And it comes out a ways from the neck. It's, you know, if you look at it into profile, you're going to see it comes out a way. Anyway, stick to the plan, Kels. So that comes down, and then it kind of starts going straight down at a certain point. So it's got, this is the thing that catches the light when you take pictures of chests. So the pec muscles, of course, are sort of a little bit of striation kind of going on here. I don't need to get that detailed because he's got a shirt covering all that. But I need you to know that there's an understanding of the anatomy that lies underneath. So you have the pec muscles, and then you have the trapezius in the back here coming down and doing this, and then the clavicle. And so there's a little divot in the shoulder kind of thing. So you need these forms to imply the rest of it. But what I'm here to look at is I want this curve here and this outie to be similar to this outie and this curve back into the arm here. And that's what I'm studying. So the thing is with sculpture, as you change your position, the form is going to change a little bit. And of course, as I change the position for here, he's going to be more vertical. But at the top of the chest, where you're in transition going back up into the neck, you're going to have more of a diagonal slant here. You see how that's catching the light? Well, that's a shadow, of course. So, but anyway, you've got to be careful with light, I guess, for reading stuff. But I'm also going to look at things like the chin. I want to make sure, is that coming out too far? Maybe. Could be. I think I may have to adjust that because you can see I've got my center line drawn there. So I'm going to look at the symmetry of this versus this, of this versus this. But that, right now I don't want to think about the head. Right now I just want to think about getting this body in shape. Now, I've got one overlap of the fabric coming here. And so this will maybe tuck in a little bit of their button if it's a tight shirt, but if it's just a loose-fitting shirt, it's going to casually go over there. But obviously that means that this fabric is going to come under this. So I don't want the breast here to be too exaggerated right here because of this. So I can see from this point of view that I have a nice gradual curve here, reaching back, and the muscle turns into the tendons of the pec muscles are going to go up under the bone and up into the arm and stuff like that. So I feel like looking at this, that this also needs to have a greater slope. The other thing I'm looking at is the relative width. Now, this is not a good way to measure. This is the Kelly way to measure. Don't do it. You see, because you can easily change the position of your things. Now, one thing I keep having a problem with is, you see how I drew this middle line here on my board? That's the middle of his body. However, with the shirt, it's coming over a little bit so that the buttons can touch. Let's say the buttons are going to go down the center of the body. You're still going to have some fabric coming around that button. Otherwise, there's no buttonhole. You know, there's no hole if you don't have all the way around, right? So you have to have fabric all the way around, then you put the hole in it. Otherwise, it's just innie. So, and that's not going to hold a button. Anyway, I'm talking about stupid stuff you already know. So, I'm looking at this. This is a nice curve here. Do you see how this comes out a little bit too far? So that's what I'm working on. And then I want to get the same gradual curve going to the arm. Okay? So let's get back to what I was doing on the other thing. Put the camera back on the tripod. Stay tuned some more if you like. Subscribe, comment, ask your questions. Give me critique if you want. I'm okay with that. It's what I get all the time. I'm an artist. Ciao. Alright. This is Kelly again on my back, and we are making sculpture. Finishing touches. So, these are the tools that I've been using the most. This one has, it's wide, and obviously it's much larger, and it has a beveled edge there. So I use that to sort of help me get rid of cellulite, okay? The thing I've got to be careful about this, for example, when I was working on the back here, I'm going to get sidetracked again because that's how my brain works, sorry. Here, I talked about the trapezius muscle creating the profile of the shoulder here. The trapezius muscle, it gets narrow here, so what takes over in the neck are the sternomastoids, okay? So this muscle comes up in here, obviously we're not seeing that, but it comes down here, does its connection there, and then it does this triangle thing. But because of the underlying bone structure and even other muscles, you kind of have a little triangle here that's sort of flat. And then you have like the rhombus and the shoulder blade comes out. Now, when the arms are down, can you see what my shoulder blade does? It's in a certain position and it's kind of doing one of these things and then it comes back out. When I raise it, you can see that the angle of the shoulder blade is going to change. But I had the friend that was for dinner the other night, I had him model the stand straight down because it was just more fun than going to an anatomy book or whatever. And, you know, I should know all this stuff anyway, but I like to check. So I don't want to get very, very detailed. Also because, again, the shirt is going to simplify a lot of the shapes. As my mentor Vasily Fedoruk used to say, one year we were watching the Olympics together, and the Winter Olympics, and he said, this is what I'm talking about when you want to abstract the body. Go watch them do the luge. I hope I said that right. The sport where they're shooting down the little ice things, doing their little things that kids like to do, but they're grown-ups. Anyway, they wear this protective suit to keep them warm, and what it serves to do, obviously it's influenced by the anatomy underneath them, but it also simplifies quite a lot. And this shirt is not a tight shirt like that, that's a tight fit, but it's still going to have some influence on it, and so I'm putting subtle things. So I marked where the shoulder blade is going to go, and then I started shaping it. But you can see that in one of the earlier videos when I was showing you how I paint, I melted the clay in my little cooker here, okay? Dedicated cooker, it will never ever again be used for food. But I got it warm, and then I applied it on here. When I was applying it, I was actually trying to put texture in. So I was trying to keep my heater, my fireplace going enough to have it movable, but then I was using the flat part of this tool here to sort of scumble things, you see. Sorry about that interruption, but on the phones these days, if you don't know the number, then you shouldn't respond because they're just telemarketers. And I hope that my actual friends would know, if you really want to get hold of me, don't call, let it ring 4 times and then give up. Call again. I might not have reached into my purse, I might have been away from the phone, I might have been this, I might have been that. You know, it's annoying, but I always feel like if somebody calls back twice, then maybe it's a number I don't know, because could be it's a client calling about something, but usually it's telemarketers and I don't want to confirm to them that I have a real phone number. Anyway, sorry about the interruption. So I was scumbling here, and it happens naturally if the clay is cold, especially. You can see how this, I just added a bunch on, and then I'll come back over here and start refining it. However, what happened to this texture is, like what I just did there, in the process of doing this and shaping, I wanted a little bit of innie here, wanted a little bit of outie for the shoulder blade, a little bit of innie here, and then a little bit of a spine going down to make the form just a little bit shaped. In the process of doing that, I was using this as a cutting edge because what I was getting at when I started this a minute ago, this tool, I would use this and sort of put the pressure in here to angle. I'd drawn a line straight down where I wanted the spine to go. It matches up with this red line here. But what I found is sometimes this tool is very sensitive to your texture, to your pressure. So I would end up getting these digging marks, and then I would also end up getting these, when I'm pulling away and then redoing it, I would get these little sort of chug, 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 little tool marks. I don't think it goes chug, chug, but you know what I mean. I would get a ridge and a ridge and a ridge and a ridge because it wasn't having an even gliding stroke, and it was sort of tugging against stuff. That was probably more due to the temperature of the clay than anything else. But this, you can see, is a shaped edge. Now, for the strength of the tool, it tapers here, but it's wide enough here to give it the strength. Otherwise, the thing will break on you at the first sign of resistance. But what I found is I was doing this to sort of shape it. I was flattening here using this, but I was actually cutting with this edge here and sort of working my way towards the center of the spine while I'm evening out things. But my point is that while I was doing this shaping, I was also removing the texture and sort of making it smooth. Now, I personally don't like smooth. I find it makes the bronze, clay absorbs light, bronze reflects light, and I don't like that reflection, and I certainly don't want the reflection on the shirt because then, boom, it becomes the center of attention, not the face. On a portrait, the face is always the thing that needs to be getting your attention. And I don't want to say always, because actually you can make a portrait really spectacular and have it focus on the hands or have it focus on some other feature, or maybe even just part of the face, not the whole face. If you had a figure coming out of shadow, let's say you've got a hat on, the shadow covers the eyes. Maybe you just want the focus on the lips, you see. You can do what you want with a lot of things, but the point is you control what the subject of your artwork is, whether it's painting or sculpture, doesn't matter. We still control, we determine that. We are the artists, we decide what people are going to look at. People are still going to take away what they want to from it. That's just human nature, and that's fine, actually, to let them have their own story, and you don't even need to explain yourself, because hopefully you will have explained yourself in the shapes and the forms and the color and the line and the tone and all that good stuff. The tools of our trade, as I get off on the lecture. But my point is, I wanted to show you how the tools work. See, already this is more scumbled than that is. When I was doing this, I couldn't decide if I really want that or not. The customer's given me more permission to put this texture, the shirt textured. He wants the skin flat. Whatever. It makes the job more complicated, but mostly for me, I just don't like the effect of it too much. I don't like shiny skin. To me, it's way more natural to put a little bit of texture there so that the light undulates, and that softens the effect of the glare. But, anyway. So the thing is, I found this to be too aggressive at times. It depends on your angle. If you can see it right now, I'm using it near the spine where I'm going deep, and then I'm pulling it across ways to get rid of this. So I'm even just getting rid of that cellulite I've got there, you see. And I want to keep this clean because I don't want clay on the floor. I probably should have made a bigger table, but I really didn't anticipate. I didn't anticipate having any back. I thought it would stop here and then it would be here, so I thought I had plenty of table. But anyway, just thoughts for your future studio organization and armature organization. So you can see that here I've got a whole lot more texture there that now doesn't match this, okay? Then it comes up to the side. Do I want to make this back to this texture? Because I can do it. If I have the Plastilina soft enough, I can do that. Also, I had told him at the beginning, I will try to make this a plaid shirt. Never done it before, but you know, that's the thing that's going to make this fun for me, is to try to do something I've never done, learn something new. But anyway, right now, when I look at this, I'm thinking, what is he going to like? You can see the ridges, maybe. I don't know. I'll stop and take a still picture of that. but also depending on how I put the lighting, it's going to be more exaggerated or not. And some of it could be that if this clay has been around the air a little bit, it might be a little darker in color. As soon as I scrape away, it gets a little lighter in color. So sometimes I'm not necessarily seeing the surface is rough. I'm seeing the difference between newly removed clay and air habitude, I don't know. So, but I can actually feel with my fingers it's not smooth. Again, I'm not looking for smooth. What I'm looking for is a consistency and a little bit of shape, but not exaggerated. So again, I do the bird's eye here and I see, okay, this curve here is too much. I wanted the indent for the spine, and then I've got to kind of gradually roll it in, but then the shoulder blade came down like this. So I want to, again, make that subtle, and then this will fold into that. So let's see, we talked about the profile. Can you see on the profile I've sort of put a little thing there, and also if I touch this I can feel that's coming down. I can also feel there's a dent right there, and it has an outie here, and that's not going to work. I decided, because I'm doing a classical piece, and maybe the client will write me later and go, Kelly, no, I want a little bit of folds of fabric in. I kind of don't. I kind of want this very simple to put the focus. His mustache is good because it's going to give texture to the piece. And when you have texture against a mostly smooth surface, that's where the eye goes, okay? So this and eyebrow texture, and then of course hair will frame the rest of this, and that keeps the focus there. Those are the nice little details that help. But I don't want this to compete with that. But anyway, so I was talking about doing the shape here. And it's a little bit high in there. Again, I'm trying to lower this. Sometimes it helps to go parallel to what you're trying to remove. But other times, if you want to get rid of cellulite, you go this way, because it's going to get rid of all that stuff in that direction. Does that make sense? So, I leave these as shavings now, because sometimes it's nice to have a little shaving to put onto something. So I'm going to pull this. Now, I don't want to change the form so much. I don't want to keep shaving until he ends up having a body too small for this head. So every once in a while, when I see the holes there that aren't going away, I just push in some more of this thin clay and start again. But it's this stuff that takes all the time consuming. Now, to do the plaid shirt that I talked about doing, the very first thing I want to do is get the overall form. As I'm working with a form that's kind of finished, I might start drawing in the lines and figuring out, I'm going to probably cut them at an angle like this so that I get shadows in them, and it depends on the angle of the light. But this is going to be a piece outside, so the sun may pass like this, it may pass like that, it may pass like this, it may pass like this. It really depends on where he hangs it, and I don't control that. So if I make plaid lines, they're going to have to be deep but thin cuts so that it's difficult for the light to get in. Then you always have a color contrast. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go show you the texture of this up close in a still photo and put that into this video right now.